It's time for EdTech Mondays, brought to you by MasterCard Foundation and CC Hub.
Hello everyone, and welcome to yet another amazing episode of the EdTech Mondays Nigeria show. My name is Chinyelu Akpa, your host, and it's good to be back here. Last week on the show, we introduced this interesting topic, artificial intelligence in education. And we had Abdul Bature, the co-founder of Schooler, who are the creators of Corey AI, take us into an introductory session of sorts into artificial intelligence. He helps demystify, and break down some of the terms we hear, such as what it means to train an AI and what to expect with artificial intelligence in education in Nigeria. Still on this month's topic, I have with me an amazing guest who stands at the forefront of Africa's economic transformation, fueled by an unyielding passion for human capital development, technology, and entrepreneurship. She's the founder of EPH Africa, a Pan-African entrepreneurship hub, which has impacted over 3,000 entrepreneurs across 10 countries globally. She's currently the country director for the Global AI Council in Nigeria, championing AI for good. With an unwavering commitment to shaping the future of African entrepreneurship, she stands as a beacon of inspiration and a catalyst for positive change. I could go on, but I'll stop here for now. Join us to welcome Freda Anyanwu. It's good to have you here.
Good to be here, Chinyelu. Thank you so much, everyone. I'm happy and excited to even talk about this. It's interesting.
Thank you. So we just jump right into it. What is AI? There's so much buzz about AI. I think the two alphabets that are mostly used in Nigeria now are A and I.
A and I.
A and I. Before you learn your AEIOUs, you learn AI. So tell us, what is AI? What's the fuzz about? Why are people excited? Why are people scared? And how does it relate to the future of education for us in Nigeria?
Well, interestingly, I did a survey about a year ago and asked people what they knew about AI. At the time, ChatGPT was just coming in and a lot of buzz was around it. And people told me that AI is ChatGPT. So I'd like to say, first of all, if you're watching this or listening, ChatGPT is an AI tool, not the definition of AI. So AI is like having a computer that you train with a lot of data on, human intelligence. So it's just like I have a computer or I want my phone to understand certain things about data, about me, about maybe education, about health, and we feed it that data and it works based on some algorithms, right? Those information.
Algorithms.
Yes, those information that we impute into that robot now comes in to us as artificial intelligence. So that's information that the robot or the computer has been fed. There's a process called machine learning. It takes time to learn it. Those are human intelligence that are fed into that computer to bring out the artificial intelligence. So if someone tomorrow takes up that computer and acts or prompts it in a way that it will, channel those interactions or channel those feedback based on what it has been fed, right? So that's what artificial intelligence is about.
This takes me back to computer science in school. While you were speaking, I was trying to, what did Mr. Charles say that day? Because there's a lot of information right there. But I know that I heard clearly it's a question of what you feed in.
Yes.
And you getting something out,
Yes.
which speaks to what Abdul, our guest last week, spoke about, that you have to train, the machine or train the computer,
robots.
the robot.
Yeah.
And when you say you're training the robot, how are you doing this? Are you taking it to school? Are you sitting on its seat? And the illustration I used last week was, do you have to put the book on the robot's head
No.
and it goes in through osmosis? How does it happen? Are there commands and prompts?
Yes.
That you need to do,
Impute, yes.
to help this machine learn?
Okay, so yes, like I mentioned before, it's called the process of machine learning. And so we as humans, we have this data, your everyday data about the weather, about the kind of food you like, about the kind of colors or the kind of places. Even your location can help, an artificial intelligence understand where you like to be at certain times, what you like at that certain period of time. So those things that we have been able to form, as we call it, occurrences, right? We have put them together and now feed this computer. So it's more like documenting it into a system, into a channel that say, okay, this is how the weather is, right? This is the prediction of the weather on so day. And this is based on location. This is how this person's routine is. So that data is now, imputed into the system. And then there are certain prompts that you cannot just go anywhere, just the way you have Google, right? Everybody goes on Google and say, searching for Chinyelu Akpa, and then all your data will pop up. Your Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, whatever data you feel you don't even know will pop up. So that's the way, the AI tool works. It is fed data. So regardless, you say, oh, it's ChatGPT, or it is what the ones you use in creating videos, or it is Script AI,
Corey
AI,
Yeah.
whatever you fed it is what it will function as. So if you feed it as an education system, it will function as an education system.
Good.
If you feed it as something used in creating videos, it will function as a video system. So in that process, it is taking into consideration what it has been fed
to
Yes,
provide you
to
your
provide you
responses.
the
So
responses.
it's safe to say that your AI tool is as intelligent as the data it is being fed.
Yes, it is as intelligent as the data it is being fed. And that's why we always say that, as we like to think that AI will take a lot of jobs, or I like to think that AI will replace a lot of humans, it will not, remove the context of the humanization in the interaction.
Being able to quickly think on your feet.
It doesn't have that empathic way of responding. I could say, oh, I have this email, help me respond to this. It will just respond based on how it feels that email deserves the response. But if I'm reading it again and I'm like, okay, I might need to say we will here instead of we shall.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
So those interactions now will now help the human to say, okay, this is how I want to frame this, and this is how I want to change the wordings. Yeah.
So now, having understood that your AI tools are a question of what they have been fed, let's now, put it into the education context.
Yeah.
What are we looking at with AI in education? How do you see AI playing out? So last week, and I keep referring to that because our conversation throughout this month is going to be closely linked to each other. Last week we had Abdul, and Abdul mentioned that they at Schooler had created a tool, lesson plan authoring tool, to help teachers develop lesson notes almost at the snap of their fingertips, which takes away all the time and energy. In fact, if you know any teacher and you ask them, you're smiling, were you a teacher before?
Yes. At some point in my life, I was teaching.
Interesting.
In a school,
So, and you would agree with me that one thing that takes away most of your time, and even the time you would have rather spent impacting knowledge, is creating your lesson plans, creating your lesson. And they have created this tool called Corey that helps teachers, take care of all that stress. So what are we looking at for AI in education? Are there other areas that you're seeing AI playing a big part to make resources more available and helping learners get improved learning outcomes and improving the learning experiences as well?
Well, AI in education is a fantastic, I would say a fantastic innovation, because while we think generally about, oh, how is AI going to transform different sectors, I also look at it in education. Like we mentioned, I was teaching at some point in my life, and if I had ChatGPT or most of these tools that I have right now, I'm sure I would have been like, my class would have been the best class, even though we were, I won't lie, but we were like the best class in the school. But then again, the ease of, making your lesson notes, the ease of interacting with students, even helping students understand their challenges when it comes to education, when it comes to their learning, will help teachers be more effective, will help school administrators know how do we structure our school to cater to different learners at different points? If you understand education, you will know that different learners, you can have two learners and all of them will not have the same needs. They will not have the same learning styles. So if, for example, a school building a smart system is having an AI tool that encourages children or kids to talk about, or it has a data that talks about, oh, this person's routine style of learning is like this, and this other one learns like this, we'll be able to incorporate certain things into the teaching methods, certain things into the lesson plans that will enable students to learn faster. So 10 children might be in the same class, all of them have different learning styles, all of them have different ways of interacting, and if there's a tool that helps them individually, create personalized learning journeys for them, create a system that helps the teacher to understand how their teaching methods can effectively impact these 10 children, 10 of them will be doing very well in their own at their own pace.
Yes.
And that's something that we need to really, really improve on in Nigeria. Aside the classroom, there's also the administration of the school. Now, we grew up in the time where our parents would queue up to pay school fees. But right now, you can just call the principal and say, how much is that school fees again? Send it to your account number. But in education, we can have proper documentation of children, right? You want to be able to create a system that you can go to and say, I want to speak to Chinyelu Akpa, or I want to find out Chinyelu Akpa's progress.
Or her projection.
Yes.
So being able to see the progress and
the
also
projection.
Project where this child will go to.
So if this child has been learning like this, if this child has been learning 6 hours a day in class, or 6 hours a day, imputing 6 hours a day, at what point would this child be known as a genius? Or at what point would this child be able to, would this child even be able to pass WAEC or SSC? Right? I remember growing up, we used to have children that in school, the teachers can detect and say, this child is not just a regular child, give this child a double promotion. Right? My sister at her younger age was double promoted, like twice, from one class to another class, and it was really, really helpful. And then at some point we also found kids who were struggling with the double promotions. So at what point can the teachers know that this double promotion is now hurting the child's learning? Because you've promoted this child because they were not ordinary with the rest of the children in the class, and now you've taken them to a higher level that they find difficult. So if there is a system that says, oh, this child has been putting it, they don't need this level anymore, they need this level, and at this level, this is how you can effectively
manage
them so that they are learning and it's not becoming
an overload.
Overload of information.
Okay, that's very interesting. And what you've done here is you've helped people see that when they speak of artificial intelligence, it's not only will the rain fall tomorrow type of thing. So it can play out in different bits. You've spoken about like authoring for lesson notes. And you've also spoken about school administration and management, which is a very big part. You mentioned, differentiated learning abilities, which is something I'm sure that school owners, teachers, and even parents would want to see. I know that I once came across a solution when I saw the solution, what came to my head is, with artificial intelligence, I think it's a test prep app, and if they're able to put in artificial intelligence, say you are doing 10 hours of lesson on this app, and you're preparing for WAEC, and you train on this app 2 hours every day, and you do it for 30 days, it can predict what you score in WAEC.
Yes.
It can predict how well you do at the UTME exams. So artificial intelligence, from what I'm hearing you say, is it can give you so much insight to how you can improve on your education delivery. And what I really want us to do at this point, and if you're an EdTech founder or entrepreneur, I want you to begin to really think to see how you can leverage on the power of artificial intelligence to add more features to what your solutions can be. Thank you so much, Freda.
Thank you,
While we were speaking, I think I began to have some red flags being flashed before me. And it primarily is a question of ethics. As the country director for the Global AI Council, which is championing AI for good, I'd like to know how we intend to ensure that we are not crossing any red tapes. I'm asking this because if we decide to allow AI play in education the way we are seeing it, the way we are projecting, AI will get into the hands of some really young learners. and maybe some vulnerable people as well. How do we ensure that, their privacy is protected, there isn't oversharing happening, nobody is harvesting data? I know that a lot of us have been hearing what has been happening in the United States with some big corporations and how they are being sued for data that is, seeping out and, all of that. What do you think the Global AI Council is going to do about it, or is doing about it? How can we educate entrepreneurs who are building for education to understand what they need to do, what lines they cannot cross, understand the ethics that play out when it comes to AI, the limitations, and how to maneuver where needed?
I mean, this is a great question. Thank you very much again. For the Global AI Council in Nigeria now, what we're really focused on doing is education. Education, not in the sense that we only have to educate young people about what artificial intelligence is about, or educating people how to use AI. We want to educate people who are building these solutions on how they can create systems and measures in place to protect the people who are going to be using their solutions. For example, the actual ethics of AI. We also want to work with people who are creating certain policies in terms of driving AI, enhancing AI solutions.
You have the National Artificial Intelligence Strategy, which was launched by the Ministry of Communications.
Yes, and those are areas that we're looking out for. How can people be aware that these policies are in place, and how can you create measures not to go beyond where you are meant to go, right? So people also understanding that while we have lots of good tools, we also have people who are creating tools just for bad purposes. And then you have to enlighten them about how to leverage these tools, and not everything is the right tool. How to identify tools that are for good and tools that are for bad. Our mantra is AI for good. We are championing it across board. It could be in education, fintech, and then just ensuring that people who are creating policies are creating ethical policies as well that are protecting users and solution makers, or innovators as I would like to call them. And why people who are innovators creating in line with policies. So there's that synergy right there that is making sure that everything has a balance, right? So while people are getting the idea of what artificial intelligence is about, we're also working together with innovators to help them, put their solutions together, put the necessary privacy measures, inclusivity, because a lot of tools are not inclusive. We want to be able to make sure that everyone, there's no gender bias, there's no gap, there is no economic stance in terms of how the solutions are distributed. We want to be able to create that avenue where everyone has access to it. It is even free or almost free, and that's what we're championing now in Nigeria.
That's interesting. And I'm already seeing areas of synergy with the Nigerian government. I mentioned earlier that we launched the National Artificial Intelligence Strategy in the country.
Yeah.
So it'd be good to see how the Global AI Council is working with the ministry to, see where either the ministry can support what the Global AI Council is doing, or the Global AI Council can support to share that information. You spoke about education, and I think it's very important. And help them. So it could be where you're looking through the policies that have been put together, the strategy that has been put together, and helping them to align to make sure that it fits, world-class standards.
Yes.
Then having the education. I really want to see how the Global AI Council would perhaps work with school owners, help them open up their minds to artificial intelligence.
And the
Work
possibilities.
work with the EdTech founders, entrepreneurs, developers, to see how they can begin to incorporate artificial intelligence into their design, their development.
Yeah.
I'm so excited about it. I'm thinking having a product that can help learners in different languages. Imagine if you have artificial intelligence that can give you prompts in Fufude, in Efik, in Ibibio, in Igbo, in different languages. Imagine how that would help to break down the barriers that might have been there and ensure that learning is happening at all times and across.
Effective at all times. One of the things that we want to do is not just have products that are rampant in the market, but we have something that are effective. So as much as we're educating people, we also want to ensure that these people who are learning have a pipeline for opportunities.
Oh, yes. And even users as well.
Yes, as well. So
thank you so much, Phil. This was a very interesting conversation.
I had a great time sharing.
Thank you. And to you, our listeners, we would love to hear from you. What do you think of this month's conversation? How would you like to see AI playing out in education if you were to build your super product that is AI enabled? What would that solution be doing? I want to hear from you. Remember, if you are building your super product that is AI enabled for education, what would that solution be doing? Send us your answers, send us your feedback. 0703 165 0809. You can also join our Telegram or WhatsApp channel to join the conversation and see what people like you are sharing. Remember, your super products, AI enabled, what would it do? Till I come your way, same time next week, I remain your host, Chinyelu Akpa. It's bye for now.
EdTech Monday is proudly brought to you by MasterCard Foundation and CC Hub.